Hello guys and welcome back to a brand new video. This video is going to be on recursion and some examples in JavaScript. Now if you're watching this to understand recursion, then great. This will explain recursion completely. But if you're watching some other series and I place this in between, it is because we are going to use recursion soon and it is important to understand it first. You might already know what recursion is, and in that case, if you're confident about your knowledge, you can skip to the next video. Or you can watch this as a refresher if you want to. And if you're not aware of what it is, then definitely watch it. Also, if you're new, please watch the full video. There are a lot of small concepts that are tied together at the end. So to get the maximum benefit, watch this completely. What is recursion then? Well, the definition of recursion is that it is a method of defining or solving a problem where the solution depends on smaller instances of the same problem. And recursion is expressed by a function that calls itself directly or indirectly. So that is what recursion is. They are very simple statements, but to understand recursion, it is very important to understand why is that so. Let's understand this with a block of code. So let's define a function and call it something like call recursively, and it will have one parameter. So this function will do some tasks which I am not defining now, and then it will make a call to itself since recursion is expressed by a function that calls itself, and this is calling itself directly. So we will invoke call recursively here, and we will pass a different argument since that is usually what is done. And then this function will do some more tasks and then finally return a result. Now coming down here, we'll make the initial call to the function which will start executing that function, and then it will keep on calling itself. So now let's understand why recursion is a method of solving a problem where the solution depends on smaller instances of the same problem. Well, let's say that this initial call to this call recursively function is supposed to solve a complete problem. So the way to do it is that it will first do some tasks, then it will call itself again, which is supposed to solve the smaller problem, and do some more tasks and return. Well, the recursive call that is made here to solve the smaller problem is again going to go through the same steps as it is a call to itself. So it will also do some task, call itself, do some more tasks and return. So the smaller problem also has to be the same as the bigger problem, otherwise the same function call will not be able to solve it. And with that, we can say that recursion is a method of defining or solving a problem where the solution depends on smaller instances of the same problem. And recursion is expressed by a function that calls itself directly or indirectly. Now before we check some real examples, let us look at another concept that is very important to understand recursion completely, and that is the call stack. So what is a call stack? Well, a call stack is first of all a stack. What is a stack? A stack is a data structure where you can add elements from the top and remove it from the top as well. Think of a plate dispenser. You can add a plate to the top of the stack and remove a plate from the top as well. So it follows the last in first out approach. If you add a plate at the end, it is removed first because it is at the top. Now, whenever an element is added to the top of the stack, it is known as pushing an element. And whenever it is removed from the top, it is known as popping an element. Now, if you want me to make a video on stacks, do let me know and I'll create a video on that as well. So, how is this call stack used? Let's see this in reference to JavaScript. It is used whenever a function call is made in JavaScript. Whenever a function call is made in JavaScript, an execution context of that function call is made and pushed into the call stack. And whenever a function returns, it is popped off it. Now you may ask what an execution context is. Well, not going in too deep, otherwise it will be like a rabbit hole and we will get too diverted from the main topic. You can think of an execution context as an environment where function executes in. And fun fact, the code that is executed at the top level or outside any function declaration is done at global execution context level. Okay, Now that is enough about the execution context. Let's see an example of how a call stack gets used when a block of code is executed. Let's say we have this block of code. So we have function C at the top, which does some tasks and returns 0. Then we have a function B, which calls function C, and we have a function A, which calls function B. And finally down here, we are calling function A. So let's see how this will get executed. We have our call stack here. Now whenever this file starts executing, a global execution context is created and it is pushed onto the stack. Since there are no elements in it, it goes to the bottom. Then it reaches this line where function A is invoked. An execution context for this function call A is created and it is pushed onto the stack. Then A starts executing, it makes a call to B. So an execution context of this function B call is created and it is pushed onto the stack as well. And then it starts executing and it calls function C, which creates an execution context of that call and it is then pushed onto the call stack as well. Now it starts executing from here, it does some tasks and it returns 0. Now as soon as this returns, the top of the stack is popped and the control returns to the execution context just below it or the current top. So in this case, it returns to the function B call. So in the function B call, there is no line after the function C call. So it returns, which pops it from the top as well, and the control returns to the function A call, and it also returns, so it too is popped off the stack and the control returns to the global execution context. Now once the entire file completes execution, the global execution context is removed as well. Now how does this tie up with recursion? Well, since a function calls itself, in case of recursion, every time a call is made to itself, an execution context is created and pushed to the top. Now the thing about the call stack is that it is limited in size. So if you keep on making function calls, eventually this call stack will run out of space and the call stack will overflow. You will get something like maximum call stack size exceeded error. It is very important to understand this for recursion because in case of recursion, a function calls itself. So let's say we have this function A and it calls itself. So when this starts executing, it will call itself. Then this will create a new execution context and it will get pushed onto the stack. And again, this will call itself. So another execution context will get pushed and this will go on until the stack overflows since there is nothing stopping it. So for a recursive function to work, there has to be a base case where this call to itself chain is broken and the function is able to return. This will cause all the context to be popped off and we'll be able to solve the problem. This case where a recursive function returns without making a call to itself is called the base case. And that is all about the theory. Let us jump into the code editor and see this in action. At this point, if you are new, a sub would be awesome. As you can see, I don't have many subscribers, so if you are enjoying it so far, do consider subscribing. It will keep you posted about my latest content and it will keep me motivated to make more. So yeah, subscribe. Alright, so moving on. Since we are using JavaScript for running this, there are multiple ways of running it. You can either directly run it in the browser console or use a script tag. But for our case, we are going to use VS Code with the Quokka plugin. If you want to follow along, and I would highly recommend you to, this is a great way of testing small blocks of JavaScript. You can install VS Code and install the Quokka extension from the marketplace like so. Just search for Quokka here and you will get an install option here, so just install it. Now once you have installed it, create a new file and save it somewhere. Then you can start Quokka like so. Just hit the Ctrl+Shift+P keys if you're on Windows and Command+Shift+P if you're on your Mac. Type Quokka and select this Start on Current File option. And using this is very simple. You can just write any code block and it will just run. So in this example, we are going to write a code for calculating the factorial of a number. It is one of the first problems you'll come across while learning recursion, so let's look into it. So what is the factorial of a positive integer? Well, the factorial of a positive integer is the product of that integer and all the integers below it till 1. So the factorial of 3 is 3 into 2 into 1, which is 6. The factorial of 4 is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which is 24. And the factorial of 5 is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which is 120. Alternately, the factorial of a number can also be written as the number into the factorial of that number minus 1. So in case of 5, the factorial is 5 into factorial of 4. Since factorial 5 is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 can be replaced with factorial 4. So we can say that factorial 5 is 5 into factorial 4. Similarly, factorial of 4 is 4 into factorial 3. And so we can generalize factorial of a number as number into factorial of number minus 1. So you can see that we have already broken our problem into a smaller problem which can be solved using the same approach. So it can be done recursively. Now let's write the function then. So let's call this function factorial. It will take num as a parameter, and inside, as we discussed, we can say that factorial of a number will be the number itself multiplied by the factorial of number minus 1. And we can directly return this. Now if we console.log the factorial of 5, we can see that it is throwing this maximum call stack size exceeded exception. Let's see why that is happening. So as we discussed earlier, we need to define a base case for our recursive function. Here we haven't done that. It will keep on multiplying by num minus 1 until the call stack overflows. So for factorial, the base case is less than or equal to 1. We can add that as an if check. So if num is less than or equal to 1, then return 1. And now we can see that 120 is getting logged. We can also check for other numbers. And it is working as expected. The only issue is that factorial can only be calculated for positive numbers. So we can add another if check to the top and say that if the number is less than 0, then throw this error. And that will give you a working factorial example. Now let's see how this works. Let's say that we are trying to calculate the factorial of 5. So the factorial of 5 execution context is first created. It then has to calculate 5 into the factorial of 4, which then creates a new context for the factorial of 4. And it creates a new context for the factorial of 3, and it creates a new one for the factorial of 2, and then it creates a new one for the factorial of 1. As soon as we start executing for 1, we reach this line, and since the number now is less than or equal to 1, we return 1. It then pops this off. The control goes back to the factorial of 2. Since we now have the result for factorial 1 as 1, it is able to return 2 into 1 as 1, and this context pops off as well. The control then goes back to the factorial of 3, which returns 3 into 2 as 6, and this context pops off as well. The control goes back to factorial of 4, which returns 4 into 6 as 24, and this pops off as well. The control then goes to the factorial of 5, and we get 5 into 24 as 120, and the final context pops off as well. And then the global context prints the result and it pops off as well. Now let's look at another example. Here is a problem for you. Let's say we have a deeply nested element in an array like so. We don't know how deeply it is nested. So your problem is trying to unnest this and return the element. So pause this video here, try to solve it and unpause it and check the solution. Okay, so if you were able to solve it, just comment your solution down below, and it is really great if you were able to solve it in your first go. But if you were not able to, no problem. So let's try to solve this. So we will write a function unnest, which will take in ARR as a parameter. So since it is always nested as the first element, we can destructure the first element like so. And now we can check if the first element is an array or not. So to check that, we can check that with this. If not of array.isArray of the first element, we can return the first element itself since it is not an array, and this will be the base case. And if it reaches this point, we can confirm that it is an array and we can return the unnest of the first element. And if we console.log it down here, we can see that it is working as expected. And that is all that you need to know about recursion to continue on. Now, if you want to get a hang of recursion as a topic itself, solve a few problems, and you can always comment what your issue is down here and I will look into it. And that is going to be it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed this and learned something as well. And please guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. It keeps me motivated to make more content, so please do that. And please comment on how you're liking these videos. Are they good or are they bad, or would you like me to make something else? I hope to see you guys in the next video, and again, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.